What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the TransArt Metal Spider Queen, or their version of a Transmetal Blackarachnia. So this was sent to me by G. Tony. He always sends me these Transmetal figures and other figures to look at, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And this one actually came before the Megatron. I guess that one got recalled and they're going to be sending it out again. So we'll take a look at this one. Now, I haven't had good luck recently with these. The previous one, the Metal Mouse, that one had a little break on the shoulder. And unfortunately, this one does too. There is a little bit of assembly required out of the box. So you do get arms like this, and they're straight out of the package. And you're supposed to rotate them. Now, this thing doesn't really have instructions. So it comes with these QR codes. If you scan this one, it'll take you to Bilibili, but it doesn't take you to a video. If you scan this one, it'll take you to Weibo, and I can't remember which one. And this one doesn't scan at all. It doesn't take you anywhere. So they must have forgotten to do that one. These two take you to a website. Now, you can scroll down and find the video for her, but eventually you're not going to be able to find it because it doesn't take you straight to the video. And the other problem is that video is not really instructions. It's just a guy playing with it. Doesn't show you how to transform it. Doesn't show you the assembly, and it's in Chinese, so it's not very useful. And then this one for me wouldn't scan at all. So I don't know what to do with that. The only instructions I could find was Mang Motion's video, which wasn't really an instruction. It was just kind of video. And it doesn't really talk about this, but you really have to bend these very carefully. You have to hold it as low as possible and bend. When you first get these out of the box, the paint is in the way, and the paint is actually preventing it. So you have to kind of work it. They recommend heating it, I guess, which unfortunately I saw after I did this. So most of them worked okay, but I had a couple that didn't work, and unfortunately they just broke. Instead of bending at this joint where they're supposed to bend on that hinge, they just broke off. And you know, these two are just super duper tight. There's a lot of paint. So be careful with these. Heat it up if you're having trouble. You get resistance. Heat it up for a little bit and then try to bend it and work it until it'll bend. And unfortunately, I have two broken like that, so we only have 6 legs. But basically, once you get them, you're going to attach them right on these ball joints right here. We'll just pretend that now she is complete with all her spider legs. Now you can also take her backpack here, which comes like this, and you can install this on if you want to. I believe the cartoon doesn't have this. I'll put the image there so you can take a look. I don't think they had her kind of like backpack or this spider piece in the cartoon. But if you like to install it, you can. So go ahead and open up these panels here. We're going to open up here. There's an over-under tab inside here. So you want to be careful because you have to only go one direction or you'll probably break that tab. So this has to go downwards. And just hold tight. You don't want to like put too much pressure on it. Open these up and then flip these back, kind of like, you know, her butt, basically. This is going to come down in. There's this notch right there. It's going to slide into a groove, just like that. And then you're doing the same thing on this side, cording this down and then slide into that groove. And then this, there's 2 slots right here. They're going to fit onto our back. And line those up, and this will come down. Make sure these blue pieces are down. And line that up, and get that on there. And there you have it with the backpack. Now, the issue with this is it's very heavy, and she's a relatively lightweight figure. She does have die cast on her legs, but just due to the weight, it's very hard to balance her, so you end up kind of leaning her forward. So I would recommend you don't use this in robot mode. It's really, if you want, I guess it's the toy look, if you want to have it with all this. And actually you can even put the head on there, and this is another problem. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I would recommend not using this just because it really throws off her balance and it makes her, you know, a lot less fun to play with. So you got some pretty nice paint on her. You got the gold and metallic red kind of all over. You got the metallic purple here for the legs. More of that metallic blue, gold down here, metallic red. Lots of little details. She was pretty much 100% painted everywhere you can see. It does look nice. You have a nice gradient of gold and maroon or red here on the legs and on the claws. And that all looks pretty nice. Now for articulation, the head is on a ball joint. Unfortunately, the ball joint is very tight, but the neck joint is kind of loose. The neck is on a hinge. So as you move the head, you end up kind of moving the neck. But head can go down to there. It's just too tight. You can rotate side to side, and you can rotate the head all the way around. The neck itself can lift up and go way down, so you should look way down, way up, just due to the neck. But I just wish the head joint wasn't tighter than the neck joint, because the neck tends to move before you move the head. These shoulder pads are on ball joints. Again, way too tight. The tolerances are not very good. You can't rotate these. You can go up and down, and they can get out of the way of the arms. The arms on a joint this way, you can hear it's very squeaky and tight. It rotates back and forth. It goes out to the side on another tight joint, and we'll talk about that in a second. It gets up to there and rotates all the way around. You have rotation at the bicep, and this sometimes happens as well. So your best bet is to hold right here, rotate at the bicep. Double jointed elbow gets you the full bend. For the hands, you can rotate this weapon claw back out of the way so you don't really see it. I would be careful with this. It does feel semi-fragile. And then the claw, not these, but this one, we'll leave that off. This one can go up and down like that if you want to open it up. Now let's talk about this joint. So this is a ball joint. You can see it just fits into here. It's not toleranced properly. You can rotate it on that. It's supposed to have an ab crunch, but it just pops right off. So any amount of forward movement, really it's just anything will just pop this off. It's just kind of loose. It doesn't really stay. That's a major issue with this figure, is the fact that that ball joint, it causes a lot of issues, not only for transformation, but just when you're messing with it, she'll come apart very easily. Coming down to the legs, you have a drop down hip. You can't get the leg rotated. This is a tight joint, but you can get it all the way up due to that. It's also part of the transformation, but you can get it way up there, way back. You can get it out to the side, but this is totally poorly toleranced. It doesn't hold anything. I don't know what they were thinking there. It's a hinge joint. And it's not just that one. They're both poorly toleranced. You can see this thing is not great, but this one is also poorly toleranced. The rotation at the thigh are on a very tight joint. Be careful with that. You have a single jointed knee, but it gets you well past 90 degrees there. Rotation at the knee for transformation. You have a joint here. It's a hinge joint, unfortunately too loose. And that's part of the issue with holding her weight. She has a joint here, side to side. It looks like there's a hinge on the heel, but I can't get that to bend. I'm not going to force it. This thing, it doesn't want to be forced, so I'm going to leave it. Now for our accessories, you do get this, which actually is meant to be installed here. It is a magnetic attachment, so you can see there's a magnet right there. It's supposed to go onto here, and it looks great, but unfortunately it just doesn't stay. And that's why I didn't put it on before, because I didn't want to go through articulation and have it falling off constantly, because you easily will just pop it off, right, as you're messing with it. So put that on after you've done posing her. It does look good, but as you're manipulating her, you know, the ball joint pops off and the chest plate will pop off, but pretty good looking accessory, I'll have to say that. You also get this, which I showed you earlier, and we're going to take this off because this becomes her gun. So if you rotate this around on this joint, and unfortunately you have to use the side of the arm. So you're going to rotate the arm. We're just going to leave that off. Rotate the hand up. There's a little notch right there, or tab. This is going to tab into that. What that means is you have to have the arm rotated up like this to use the gun. By the way, these are spring-loaded. But I just kind of hate that because you can't use the elbow joint when you're showing or displaying this gun. You can use it this way, but now it's on the side. So I don't know. That's a very strange choice to have the gun. Maybe that's cartoon accurate. I don't know. You also get a stand here, and the stand comes like this. You're going to take this metal piece here, that's just going to install. Let's see. Like that. Then you're going to take this piece here, and this is going to go right onto there. Then you're going to take this piece. This is going to fit right between her butt and her back. I don't like how this works, but this is how it works. It just kind of fits like that. And then this is going to tab into here. And now she can be on the flight stand. It doesn't work all that well, but and at least you can get her into some poses on this. It works a little bit better in the spider mode, which we'll see later, but you can kind of get her into some, flying action poses. But I recommend you pose it first, then put it on a stand. But there you go for that accessory. And for size comparison, there it is next to the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Optimus Primal. She fits in very nicely with the Masterpiece Beast Wars scale. And we'll just turn on his eyes for fun. And about the same size as the Masterpiece Blackarachnia. So you can just get that sense if you have that figure. All right, now let's get her transformed into her spider mode. And to save ourselves some aggravation, go ahead and just take this off, set it aside. You can transform it on there, but I saw in one of the videos they recommended not doing that because you can scratch this paint. So just set this aside for now. And you can also transform it with this backpack on. Again, I'm going to recommend transforming it with it off. But let's get the head installed correctly. So you want this rotated so that the head is facing upwards. And then you're going to tab this into here. Go ahead and take, just sit down. Go ahead and take this. This is going to come together. Come to the bottom here, and that's going to tab in. So just push this side upwards into here. And then these just leave open for now. Right? And set that aside. Like I said, it's much easier to put that on later. So let's start with her. Go ahead and we'll start up at the top here. So take the arms, they're going to fold back. And you're going to fold this entire backpack out of the way. And like I mentioned, you can transform it with this on here, so it would just be hanging off the back here, but for our purposes, we're going to do without it. This is going to come off multiple times during the transformation, so don't be surprised. Take this. This is going to fold down, and you need to use your finger to hold that down. This can be frustrating. Rotate this head around. Take these panels, bring them down and in, and basically you're going to sit right under there on both sides. So it should look something like that. Try not to scrape the paint. There's a lot of places where you can do that. For the legs, we're going to rotate 180 degrees, pull out on this joint here, which is going to allow you to rotate here at the hip. It already feels not so great. And then you're going to rotate down on the back. So it sits like that. Then you're going to rotate up like this on the foot, and then inwards on the ankle tilt. So it should end up like that on the back. Right, so let's do the other one. Rotate the leg. I'll do it backwards so you can see what I'm doing. Rotate the leg around. Pull out on this. Rotate the leg 180 degrees. Bring this down. Fold the foot up on this joint and then inwards on this joint. And again, I recommend holding at the certain places so you're supporting wherever you're bending. Right, so these should kind of end up together like this and come back to the front here. All right, and you should end up with something like this with the knees tucked up under and everything kind of collapsed down with these feet sort of together. This is going to move on you. It's just the nature of this thing. This ab crunch just likes to move. All right, now we're going to come back to here and you've got to undo this. I really hate this, but this is going to come all the way back down, And now we got to put this backpack on. So go ahead and take this, and we're going to attach this back to here on those same 2 tabs, just like we had it before. Just get that attached on there like that. So you should have this red piece kind of straight down like this. And this actually fits around that piece, so the red piece is actually going in between the legs. And it's just a pretty frustrating experience because of the ball joint, but get this down into here, get this head back into here, and it should all sit pretty nicely. And if it's not, then you have something's off. All right, go ahead and take these doors. These are going to come down and tab into the back. So they'll fit right in there. And this is where I said if you had the chest plate on here, obviously these would be rubbing against it. So you probably don't want to put those on there. That's just my recommendation anyway. And then these are going to tab together in the middle. And that's kind of the best I can get. Take these arms, rotate them here on this joint. It doesn't sound good at all. And get that down like this. You're going to rotate the arms here so that you have this flat side and the claw facing up like that. All right, so on this one, rotate this here on that super tight down. I guess you could loosen the screw if you wanted to. But it should actually like click into place, and then rotate this so that you have the claw facing down. So it should end up like that. And there we have the metal Spider Queen in her spider mode. It does look really good, really beautiful paint, but getting here, not fun, especially because of that ball joint constantly popping off in the chest. But it does look great. Obviously we'd have 2 more legs if I didn't have 2 broken legs, so just imagine there's 2 more legs here. You'd have 8 legs. It does look pretty good, to be honest. It's a nice looking spider. You have ball joints for the legs so they can rotate back and forth, go up and down. You cannot put any weight on them because they'll just, you know, kind of collapse on you. You can sort of get it on these legs, but they don't work all that well. And the reason is there's a joint here, so sometimes that joint bends when you don't want it to. So I guess you could get those 2 down. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, if I had those other 2 legs, that'd probably work. You have this same spring-loaded movement here. The mandible right here can open. So you can see I open that, and then open and close that. That's pretty nice. Nice detail on the face. These can go up and down, whatever these claws things are. And yeah, overall, pretty good looking spider mode. Now you can use this with the stand. So if you take off this adapter, and you take this adapter, and come to the bottom here, you can kind of see exactly how it's going to fit. So basically, get this right in here. So put one side in and then put the other side in. That'll kind of fit in there. Then this is going to go onto here. And now you can have the spider on the stand. And for a quick size comparison, there it is next to the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Optimus Primal. And it fits in nicely with the Masterpiece scale. There it is next to him. And although I didn't transform him into his beast mode, it does look like it fits well with the Masterpiece scale. So final recommendations on the TransArt Metal Spider Queen. Unfortunately, I have to give this a 2 out of 5. I'm not going to recommend this. And there's a bunch of reasons why, but let me just talk about what I do like. I think the paint looks really good, both in the robot mode and the spider mode. They detail this thing, you know, to the nines, and it really does stand out. And the sculpt and detail, it does nail that cartoon look. But that's really about it. That's about the only praise I can give it, because negatives wise, the tolerances on this thing are all over the place. Some things are way too loose, like the hips and the elbows and the ankles, which are really important because those are the things that help you pose it. And then some things are way too tight, like the shoulders and the biceps, and these, which unfortunately you have to bend these in order to use it. This is just a matter of paint, right? They just put too much paint in there. And, you know, I recommend you heat these up before you try to bend them. I wish I had known that beforehand. I did try to bend it very carefully and it still broke. So highly recommend you heat them, but I'm happy I'm making this video so other people won't break it. They'll know to heat this up and bend it before you bend it. But yeah, just too many problems with tolerances. Really keep this from being fun. It kind of gets in its own way. Things fall off. And that leaves it in being basically just a shelf queen, which is kind of funny. Her name is Metal Spider Queen. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.